What up? It's your boy T-Bird. The reaction today's WrestleMania or Wrestle Wednesday, and because I got WrestleMania on the mind, because I'm about to share a review from the WrestleMania. This is Nice Superstar Who Never Turned Heel in WWE. So a lot of tradition in wrestling. A wrestler must have to go through a heel turn, wherever, no matter how it was. The one rare one that barely ever went through one was guys like Tito Santana, and the one and only Ricky Steamboat, and maybe quite two fingers others as well too. But there's some who may have heel turns in a company, but never had a heel turn in WWE. So let's check out the 9 superstars who never had a heel turn in WWE. Let's get it.
Throughout a WWE superstar's career, they will likely undergo a number of character changes. With these character changes come heel and babyface turns. These turns allow the superstar in question to remain fresh and show fans another layer of their persona. Whilst it's common for superstars to flip between heel and babyface throughout their career, some WWE stars have remained a babyface throughout their extensive tenure in the company. On occasion, heel turns for these particular superstars have been pitched, but WWE higher-ups have rejected any creative plans that would see the superstar turn to the dark side and opted instead to keep them as a fan favorite. But which ones were they? Well, join us now as WrestleMania looks at 9 WWE superstars who never turned heel. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out WrestleMania.co.uk and our on-wrestling channel, Incredible. Number 9, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
That's true. That is true. The only time he did it was WCW with the whole Team Canadian thing, but this is true.
Royal Rumble winner Hacksaw Jim Duggan has remained a beloved babyface during his 2 separate runs in WWE. Duggan was presented as working man's patriot, and for his entire WWE tenure, he had fans on his side. It's unknown why the WWE never decided to turn him heel. It has been common in the past for patriot gimmicks to flip between babyface and heel. Take for instance Kurt Angle, Sergeant Slaughter, and Jack Swagger. However, this never seemed a consideration for Duggan. Although Duggan never turned heel in WWE, in WCW, Vince Russo decided to experiment with Duggan's more villainous side. Following Duggan's infamous role as the WCW janitor, he would join heel stable Team Canada. This was a rather unnatural role for Duggan, and fans struggled to take him seriously as anything other than a heroic babyface. Number 8, Kelly Kelly. Kelly Kelly was virtually the face of the WWE's women's division for the period of 2011 to 2012. Whilst Kelly wasn't the best in-ring worker in the world, she tried her best to get better, and she had an organic connection with the audience. Kelly was in WWE for a total of 6 years, and during that time, she never turned heel. This means that Kelly is the only woman in WWE history to never turn heel. According to Kelly, during an interview with the Asylum Wrestling store, at one stage of her career, she went directly to Vince McMahon and suggested a heel turn, but it was ultimately rejected. She stated, "I didn't want to be a heel, I really did, and I remember I went to Vince McMahon's office one day because I was like, let me ask him what he thinks about me being a bad guy, and he was like, first off, let me see your bad guy face." And he tried to have this mean look, and after 2 seconds, I started laughing. He's like, "That's exactly why you could never be a bad guy. Have a good day, Kelly. You're good." That was the one and only time I ever tried, and then I just left it alone. Number 7, Bruno Sammartino. Bruno Sammartino holds the record for being the longest reigning WWE champion of all time. And in those 2,800 days that he was champion, a heel turn was never considered. Bruno was very much WWE's golden boy, and turning him heel was virtually out of the question. During the 60s, pro wrestling was vastly different to how it was today, and talents weren't overexposed on television, and this meant that talents didn't need to flip between babyface and heel as often as they do now.
See, and then I'm glad that somebody put that up, because a lot of folks is trying to have the Tribal Queef hold the title for long, like Bill Sartine, but this ain't the territorial days. Back then, they didn't have weekly shows, so why would we do that'd be worse than when Brock was when he was a heel holding the title and barely showing up. Like, don't do that. Like I said, that's a whole kind of hoping they have him dropping that classic the castle, but I got a feeling they might not do it, but I kind of hope they does, man, because I hope Drew should be able to win it. But
now, although Bruno never turned heel in WWE, it certainly would have been interesting for WWE to explore how this character and gimmick would have altered the WWE's heroic champion turning on the fans. Number 6, Evan Bourne. A former tag team champion, Evan Bourne was a WWE superstar between 2008 and 2014, and during all that time, Bourne remained a babyface. While his offense was certainly more inclined to a babyface wrestler, and his entire gimmick and presentation was suited to a heroic character, there was always that what if when it comes to Bourne. How would he have done in a heel role? Well, it's hard to say, and hard to give a fair answer without discussing what Bourne's character would have been. If WWE were ever going to turn him heel, the most appropriate time was when he was in the midst of a tag team run alongside Kofi Kingston. This tag team was extremely popular, and WWE had broken them up by having Bourne turn on Kingston, but WWE just didn't want to position Bourne in a different role.
Yeah. I thought about too, but Air Boom was a good tag team. I was a fan of Air Boom. I love their entrance too. Their entrance music was awesome.
5. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. In terms of the best babyface characters of all time, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is certainly a strong contender at the top of that particular discussion. Throughout his time in WWE, Steamboat was never once a heel, mainly because the connection he had with the audience was always positive, and they never grew tired of his character or matches. Although WWE never pulled a trigger on a heel turn, this doesn't mean that Steamboat himself didn't pitch a character shift. In an interview with the Post and Courier, the WWE Hall of Famer said he had requested to turn heel back in the early 90s, but this was shot down. The former IC champion...
I wonder why folks requested. Why? Maybe that's just me because I can't see myself being a bad guy. But why people would request being a bad guy? I can see them giving the turn, like, giving automatically have to be a bad guy. But why would anyone request that? Why would you want to be a bad guy? That's what I'm gonna say.
Stated, Pat Patterson simply told me that it would probably ruin my career. I just wanted to experience what it felt like on the other side of the fence. As we all know, the heels have the most fun out there in the ring, and when you're a face for a long time and you turn heel, your stock value immediately goes up, especially if you're able to pull it off in the ring and on the mic. Number 4, The Ultimate Warrior. That's hard to picture The Ultimate Warrior as a heel, and that
is true. Because the only time he was heel was the earlier day before WWF when he had those part of that team with Sting and on UWF with Sting.
Likely why WWE never decided to make that creative move. For most of his WWE career, Warrior was one of the most popular stars on the entire roster, and even when he was feuding with the legendary Hulk Hogan, his popularity never dipped, and if anything, it increased. During this time period, Hogan claimed that he actually pitched that he should turn heel, and this would have made Warrior the default #1 babyface in the entire company. Warrior was also a strong merchandise mover, as his colourful persona opened the door for several merchandise opportunities, which WWE didn't resist capitalizing on. Number 3, Rob Van Dam. When Rob Van Dam signed with the WWE in 2001 as part of the Invasion storyline, he was initially a heel. However, RVD's popularity quickly took off, and it wasn't before long that RVD was one of the top babyfaces in the WWE. This babyface...
I can see... I thought about that. That is true. And also, technically, he was... he was part of the Alliance. He was actually... Him and Kidman was actually... And Kidman and someone, Hurricane was actually doing babyfaces of the Alliance, to be honest. To be honest, that they was actually the babyfaces of the Alliance. Like, they was not getting booed at all. Like, those three were not getting booed at all.
Run would never end, and WWE would never opt to turn him heel. In 2006, RVD was involved in the ECW vs WWE storyline, and even though he feuded with WWE's top babyface John Cena, he was still presented as a babyface. RVD was insanely popular as a face, and WWE never had a meaningful reason to make the change. Everything that WWE did with RVD, whether it was a mid-card feud with Christian, a world title feud with Triple H, or an oddball tag team with Kane, was met with unanimous support towards a former WWE champion. It wouldn't have made logical sense for RVD to have a shift in character motivations, and if WWE did turn him heel, the fans would have struggled to take him seriously in that role.
Well, I will say that, he wasn't official WWE wrestler at the time. He was a heel somewhat when during the first time the WWE, when he was WWF at the time, Raw had a little feud with ECW. He was supposed, because him and Sabu was like the defector to WWE. WWF at the time, they was defecting against ECW. It was like rolling with Jerry Lawler, but I guess that's counted as ECW in a way.
Number 2, Goldberg. One of the worst booking decisions in WCW history was the decision to turn Goldberg heel. This was a decision which had drastic consequences for WCW's future, and some even cite this as one of the signs that WCW had clearly lost their way. When Goldberg debuted in WWE in 2003, they were insistent on keeping him as a babyface, and this was maintained for his entire 12-month run. Goldberg has been on a part-time schedule, making sporadic appearances since 2016, and although fans have sometimes booed him, he's never turned heel. Was this the WWE learning from WCW's mistakes? Or did WWE simply think nobody would be interested in seeing Goldberg as a heel? The fan response to Goldberg over the past few years has been less than positive. His continuous push in the main event scene and his victories over fan favorites such as Kevin Owens and The Fiend have led to a disconnect between him and the modern day audience. If the WWE's wishes to explore Goldberg as a heel, there is more chance of it succeeding right now than ever before. And number 1, Rey Mysterio. For the past 20 years, Rey Mysterio has been showcased in WWE as a heroic babyface who's always on the right side of morality. Mysterio as a babyface just makes perfect sense, as his image is kid-friendly, and Mysterio has maintained his position as a top merchandise seller for several years. Believe it or not, WWE did consider a heel turn for Mysterio. This was back in 2012 when Mysterio was in a tag team with Sin Cara. WWE considered turning Mysterio heel and having him feud with the Luchador. WWE hoped that this would elevate Cara to the next level, but ultimately they decided against it. There's never been any need to turn Mysterio heel, and it wouldn't have made financial sense to execute a turn to the dark side for one of the most popular superstars of all time. But there you have it, folks. 9 WWE superstars who never turned.
Alright, 9. Oh, wow. But anyway, other than that, two will lose their push forever because of Triple H. Oh. That's an interesting one. But anyway, this was good. But this was good though, yeah. I guess some of the ones I never thought about it because there's the only like Jim Duggan definitely. You know, he has heel run the Canadian Kelly Kelly, that's thought about it. Really, is like the only one that never turned heel. The only WWE superstar that never turned, WWE women's superstar that never turned heel. That's interesting right there. So, other than that, this was a good video to watch. You know how to anything that I dealt with. Wrestlers being bay faces, representative faces is always top of my list. But other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.